Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the first piece of extra content in the Wave 2 LEGO Legend of Zelda Custom Set Showcase, where today we'll be combining all the sets in a lifestyle images. I'll show you them on a LEGO store shelf, as well as break down some analytics, and I think we'll rank the sets today as well. So let's get right into it immediately with the analytics for this wave. And in Wave 2, including all the extra sets like the Advent Calendar and Chico Accessory Pack and Goomba, no, not the Goomba Cave, so Z0013 to Z0028, there were 17 sets containing over 66 minifigures and brick-built characters, with 11,427 total pieces across those sets, which is some incredible numbers, which is a lot bigger than last wave, mostly thanks to the Hylian Shield. Because here you have the whole wave set out as if I've gone to the Lego store, brought all the sets, and come back and filmed a traditional 2018 haul video. So you can see all the sets here, the Hylian Shield in that half Colosseum box, absolutely dwarfing everything else. The Hyrule Castle Sanctum coming in clutch after that, all the way down to our smallest sets, bar the SDCC Link. You have the Hylian Shield pack, as well as the Blight Gannons and the Microfighters up the top as well. But this isn't really the exciting image. I think this one's the exciting image, which is all of the sets mocked onto a Lego store shelf. So let's go through this nice and slowly. These videos are nice and relaxed. You're here if you want to be here, really. You can see at the top right, you can see two giant Hylian shields, and just beneath them, you've got Z0026, the, oh no, 22, the Ganondorf Horseback Duel. You've got the battle packs with the Lizalfos and Ice battle packs beneath that. You've got some Monk Maz Koshas, as well as 2 racks of the Blight Ganon polybags, which are in mass production due to, well, the fact that you need 4 of them. You've also got in the far right the limited edition San Diego Comic Con Dark Link minifigure sweepstake in the green box. There's 2 Sanctums back to backs in the orange case this time. You've got some more Maz Koshas, some more Telma's wagons, some of the advent calendars as we approach Christmas time. You've got the Castle Wall defenses, as well as the Sheikah accessory packs. You've got a whole stack of microfighters, some Spirit Train adventures, some Shadow Temples, and some Hyrule Castle Sanctums, which are all really nice to see. Moving on even further, you've got this slightly blurry image because of how much it's been shrunk of all of the sets combined, and I absolutely love this image. I did this for Wave 1 as well, and this is supposed to represent what it would look like if your kid had all the sets and put them out on the floor. So in the big center, you can see our combined Hyrule Castle with all of the Z027s around it. You can see the 4 Blights guarding out the front. You can see Varmeadow and Varnaboris circling. You've got some ice enemies, Telma's wagons escaping into the distance. You've got this giant Lizalfos fort, the Spirit Train, Maz Koshas coming around the side. Oh, it just looks so cool. Especially if you combine this with Wave 1, which is not something Studio can handle, but maybe one day we'll tackle it. I want to do better at these lifestyle images as we go into the future, but it's just here to give you a brief idea about what it might look like if a child started playing with these sets. Here is another image I wanted to show you for a while, and this is a much better image of the Hylian Shield on a wall. And yeah, it still looks wonky, but this definitely looks a lot better and gives you an idea of a scale next to something like the Haunted House and a mock over there to the left, which you may or may not have seen on the channel just yet. I felt bad about like the bad quality of that Hylian Shield mock. I needed to get that video out. So here's the updated video of what our beautiful ECS set looks like on a wall displayed proudly where it should be. And here is what, again, this appeared in the Shadow Temple video, but here is the full dungeon, combining the Wave 1 and Wave 2 dungeon expansions. So you can see elements of the Fire Sanctuary, Goma's Lair, and Shadow Temple dungeon expansions combined here together, and how that Shadow Temple boat system really adds to the depth and dimension of these dungeons. And I'm really pleased that since the Wards Temple got cancelled, that this was able to happen to improve this system, and I really love my dungeon system. This is one of my at least top 10 moments in my showcase so far, and I really do like it. I hope you like this image. So we're quickly going to run through the sets of this wave, and I'll give any unique comments on them that I think are particularly relevant. So starting here with the beginning of the wave, Z0013 with 54 pieces. This was the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild accessory pack. And originally this set was designed to be a Breath of the Wild set, where you would have old Impa, Robbie, Pura, and a Sheikah Warrior, and the build would have been Cherry, the Ancient Furnace from a Color Engine Tech Lab. But then, just a couple of weeks after I designed the figures, Terrico showed up in the Breath of the Wild Age of Calamity art. So he became the build, and then just as I was about to release the video, we got the second Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity trailer, which had young Pura, young Robbie, young Impa. So the whole accessory pack got redesigned for Age of Calamity, and when I actually ended up enjoying Age of Calamity, the Age of the Calamity one's the one that I use all the time. But we still had these figures as well, so there's some interesting story behind this. You can see also that the actual pieces for the studio file are actually behind the transparent minifigure there, which is a nice touch for this one. Next up, we had Z0014, which happened way before Wave 2, which is why it doesn't share any of the box art. And this was the advent calendar that I designed all the way back in December and has 24 days of Zelda builds, mostly Breath of the Wild, but some other stuff in there with some really cute exclusive minifigures, the third Korok, and my absolute favourite Christmas Choo Choo wrapped up in Christmas lights. Now, I hope I do another one of these later this year, which will be part of Wave 3 or possibly 4. And I just really like how this turned out. So it's here. It was a great inclusion. It was something a bit different, a bit wacky, and I enjoyed doing a video a day for 24 days. Next up was Z015, Monk Baz Kosh's final trial, which was the big set based off the Divine Beast Trials for Champions Ballad Part 2. And you also had the Master Cycle Zero included here as part of my mold budget. Next up was the giant Escudo Hylian Basilia Hylian, the Hylian Shield D2C with 5,000 pieces, which was a wall-mounted Hylian shield slightly inspired by the Batmobile. Then we had Z017, Series 1 of the Microfighters with Rivali and Varmedo, and number 18, which was a Bosa and Naboris, and this was also Series 1 of the Microfighters. Z0019 came in with Spirit Train Adventure, which was based off Spirit Tracks and had some more cartoony minifigures and a 58cm long train that could not be motorized. Next up was the Lizalfos Battle Pack at Z0020, which had 4 unique Lizalfos minifigures which you could combine in one of my favourite combination builds I've done so far. Then we had the Blight Ganons, which was a 4-in-1 polybag, allowing you to build one of the 4 Blights interchangeably. Then we had Z022, the Ganondorf Horseback Duel, which was a kinetic sculpture which represented the horseback duel between Ganondorf and Link at the end of Twilight Princess, and they jumped up and down. Then we had Z023, the Ice Enemy Battle Pack, which was a bit of a shamble, but contained some interesting minifigures and builds. Then we had 24, which was also a shamble, the Hyrule Castle Sanctum. Z025, which may be my favourite of all time, we'll have to wait to the end of Wave 3 to add that up. The Shadow Temple Dungeon expansion set, which was just an amazing set. Z0026, the Telma's Prince Wallace Wagon Escort, which came with a nice Western-style wagon and a Bulbo. Z0027, Castle Wall Defense, which was an expansion to the Hyrule Castle scheme, which came with a Silverbow Coven and Big Moblin. And the SDCC exclusive Dark Link with 4 pieces that would have been a sweepskate minifigure to get the Breath of the Wild armor set Dark Link. So, it's time to rank them, which is why I sped up there at the end and didn't really go into too much detail on the sets, because I'm going to have to give you reasons why I'm ranking them like this. So let's get in with the worst. At number 17, this was the Ganondorf Horseback Duel. This is not because the set is bad. You've got to get the head around this. I love all of my custom sets, but not being the biggest Twilight Princess fan and not being too much source material around here really let me down. Originally, I wanted to do the sword fighting duel, which is something we'll cover in another video. But it just wasn't interesting enough for a set, especially at this price point. It really couldn't have gone bigger. And so we settled on doing kinetic sculpture for the horseback, and I'm not a huge fan of gears. I like the head wig, but this just isn't as smooth. So it just ended up being the least refined, I think, out of all of the sets. Meaning that 16 was the accessory pack, and this is mostly because of its size. It's a very small thing with 4 great minifigures, sure, but the builds weren't the most impressive. It's just Terrico, really, isn't it? He's the drawing factor, and the minifigures aren't the best, judging by the fact that I couldn't give them too many exclusive molds. Coming in at 15, we have the Ice Enemy Battle Pack, which just doesn't feel coherent enough by my standards. Yeah, you've got a lot of good builds here, but I vehemently hate that Ice Keys, and I just don't feel like the Freezards are enough to sell the set. There's no conflict, there's no actual build bar characters. I think Battle Packs where it's just character builds are probably a bit on the weaker side anyway. Number 14 was the Dark Link SDCC, and the only reason this is here is because literally everything else is better. Love the figure, don't get me wrong, but how is a 4-piece SDCC exclusive going to beat out some of the other sets on this list? Number 13 was the Hyrule Castle Sanctum, and this set had the potential to be even better, but because of its unfinished nature, it was fairly low down the list. For me, the minifigure selection, the Calamity Ganon build, as well as the proof of concept and then the castle combined with all of the other sets, really elevate this one above the bottom four. That's why it's here at number 13. Number 12 would be the Spirit Train Adventure, and again, for a similar reason with the Hyrule Castle, this one just didn't execute as well as I like, and that's mostly down to the cannon car. I really do like the passenger car, the cargo car, the engine, and the station, but this is one of the few sets where I've had to break the rules of just going for whatever colours I thought I needed, because the pieces were so hard to come by in the right colours, because it is so cartoony and blocky. I think I captured the aesthetic well, and I do like the figure selection. It's just not my favourite, and well, it's just not the best source material. It's just one of those frustrating builds that was lowered by my standards. Number 11 is the Blight Ganon, and again, this one's let down by the fact that they use the same pieces. If I'd been able to do 4 exclusive builds in separate sets that had shiny colours and specialist molds and that were a lot bigger, I think these guys would have looked better. But the fact that they were tied to coming from the exact same piece pool in a polybag style set, well, I think that just shows the limitation of a polybag, and they just couldn't be any higher because they didn't have the budget to be higher. Coming in at number 10, for more similar reasons, we have Divine Beast Varnaboris. I love the idea of having the champions inside a chibified version of the Divine Beast that they can sit in like a Star Wars microfighter. In execution, Dark Tan is not a very common colour. I really like the way it looks, and again, I think it is just that sets are better, but it comes with a nicer Bursa minifigure, and it'd be really cool to have all 4 Divine Beasts on display once the other 2 come out in Series 2 of the Microfighters. Coming in at number 9, we have the Castle Wall Defense, which is just a bit of a meh set, really, isn't it? Now, obviously, I'm talking about these quite harshly, and let's just remind you that I love all of these, and I'm just being harsh to my favourites, really. And I like the figure selection. I do like the style of the Moblin, although I do want to try them in minifigure form later. I like the texturing, although I think it may be a bit too much looking back on it, and the interior decoration, while sparse, was alright. I particularly like the Great Plateau map print that was inside. Again, it's just not as good as what's coming up. Number 8, we have the second Microfighter, which was Varmeadow, which I just think looks nicer than Varnaboris because of the variation in colour and the fact that you have the terminal on the front. I also think the face works as better as brick built instead of having to rely on a sticker like Varnaboris does, but that's just because Varnaboris, well, it has no choice. I also like the snot work that was included here, and I really like the way that Varmeadow comes out. I think it's instantly recognisable, and I'm really pleased with it. Number 7 with the Advent Calendar, and this is here purely because it's just so wacky. I think the figures are alone would push it to at least a middle of the list, but I really think that I captured the essence of a Zelda Advent Calendar in this set. I did a lot of research into what Advent Calendar builds looked like, and I'm so proud of how this one turned out. Honestly, it's probably one of my more accurate sets, and I just love the figures as well. So that's why it's ranked so highly for such a dodgy looking set. Next up, Haim the Hylian Shield, and this one's just weighed down by the execution. Hours that went into this thing trying to hide as many gaps as possible. By the time I got to the end, didn't have enough energy to make the stand for it, let alone a back for the shield, which is why it's a wall mount exclusive piece. I do love the packaging and everything I was able to put into its interior, as well as, of course, the Statue of Hylian minifigure, and I like everything about it as a concept. It was weighed down in frustration, and I prefer play scale anyway. Coming in at number 5 is the perfect example of why I like this scale is the Prince Wallace Wagon Escort, and we're really starting to get into the creme de la creme of Wave 2 here, with 2 horses, a perfectly built wagon if you have to ask me, with some great features, great figures, and I actually really like my Bulbo build as well. I really like this 30 playset, being the £30 range. I love this conflict in a box with 2 vehicles, and I think it works really well for the Legend of Zelda theme, and with so many unique concepts like this that they could draw from across the whole wave of Lego Zelda games. Oh, there's so much that they could pick from, and this is just an example of one of those, and I really love the way it's executed. Number 4, slightly above that, is the Lizalfos Battle Pack for good reason. Now, the figures here have soured a bit in my eyes. I mean, I like the fact that you get one of each elemental type, but they just don't look good on the front of the box. Maybe it should have been 2 green, 1 red, and 1 blue to just balance it a bit more, but instead it's 1 of each, when that doesn't really do rarity scale, unlike the Bokoblin Battle Pack. You can see that the build is fairly subpar on its own, but what really elevates this set is the combined model. When you combine the Zalphus battle packs like you're supposed to with battle packs, because obviously they're army builders, not only do you end up with an army, but you end up with this amazing Lizalfos base camp, which is really fun to play around with and infiltrate. It really reminded me of something out of Breath of the Wild, and it's definitely my favourite combination model we've done so far. Next up, we have Monk Maz Kosha at number 3, and again, just like Rallis' Escort, I just can't fault this set. I love the balls, the Master Cycle Zero, the figures, one of which is not shown on the box, and the way that Giant Mazman came out. Oh, I love him. A lot of people don't like this overstyled blocky style, but I love this Ant-Man style of figure, and I was really desperate to find a way that I could do a Lego Zelda version of one, and I really think that Maz Kosha was the best choice, especially considering his face can be just put on a 6x6 tile and just is a print. I love this guy. I really wish he was a set or buildable. As soon as that tan dish comes available, I'm building this guy for sure. I love him. Number 2, though, is just kind of pipping him by size and figures, is the Shadow Temple, and this really illustrates my whole concept behind the dungeon expansion, and I love that everything that this stands for. The playability is amazing, the prints are great, the figure selection is amazing, as well as the functionality with Bongo Bongo. I was really not expecting to like doing the Shadow Temple as a Zelda set, but it was just incredible, and I love how it turned out, and I'm really pleased that I stuck with it and let it happen. So stick with all your projects, children, because they look great when they come out. I can't fault this one. I mean, I even have more I want to do. I might have to do a second Shadow Temple at one point. Number 1 is the surprise inclusion that you haven't seen up until this video, up until now, and you may have been questioning, well, why is this here? And this is the honorary entry into Z Wave 2, and this is Z0029, the other 18 plus set with 485 pieces, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Goomba Cave, which was a mock I made in real life using the Mario Goomba, and then did fake box art for, fake instructions for, fake bags for. I did the whole shebang, and heart of that memory and video doing it is why I love this set so much. Also, because it's the only LEGO Zelda set that I've been able to produce that is 100% replicable, because the only figure in it is the Goomba, and the Goomba has already been made, because it's a Mario enemy, which is why this set's so perfect and why it's top of the list, is because, well, it's existable. It's a thing that already exists, so of course it's going to be the top. And the whole experience that I had with it, as well as the fact that you can replicate it, just makes this set so special. I'm keeping the fake box that I did, as well as the fake little manual and everything else in between. So, this is why it's the top. This is why I do what I do. Anyway, that is going to rank all of our sets. It's going to wrap up our video for the day. I hope you enjoyed taking a look back at all the sets of Wave 2, and I hope that you'll join me next week for the longer ramble of Wave 2 figures, which is probably slightly more exciting. I know these videos aren't the most interesting, but I hope you enjoy seeing all the exclusive imageries like the box art and me talking about Z029, as well as just some more insights. You know, eat up all the Zelda showcase content that you can get, really. But there's some more exciting stuff coming, and obviously we're getting closer and closer to Wave 3. I'm now ready to start taking ideas for Wave 4, although I won't be building them for a long time. And, yeah, Wave 3 should be great. I'm really looking forward to it. They keep getting better and better, and I love Wave 2. Once we finish Wave 3, we'll have a look at all 3 waves together, really. But apart from that, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.